What do you think about the idea of Canada striking a separate bilateral agreement with the U.S., separate from Mexico? Do you endorse that idea?
Canada first. Let's put it this way. One, I only care about Canada. I want to put our country first. Two, America is responsible for over 60% of our trade. We trade more with the U.S. than we do with the rest of the world combined. I will do what is necessary to preserve and protect that relationship above all others.
It's amazing that Trump is effectively doing foreign policy by tweet or Truth Social now, even before he's in office, not even by phone call, just by tweets, because he's getting the desired effect. It's interesting that Trump is putting Canada and Mexico in the same batch. And I know a lot of dainty Canadian Laurentians are, how dare you? They're a third world country. Well, actually, more terrorist suspects have tried to get into America from the northern border than from the southern border. And by the way, those numbers are ramping up. And a lot of people get into Canada because we're such a soft touch and then try and make their way to the United States. The numbers of that are just escalating astonishingly. And Trump wanted to get our attention. Here's Trudeau talking about his phone call with Trump yesterday. Watch it, and then I have a question for you afterwards. So here's Trudeau talking about how warm the relationship is. Typical word salad.
We obviously talked about laying out the facts, talking about how the intense and effective connections between our two countries flow back and forth. We talked about some of the challenges that we can work on together. It was a good call. This is something that we can do, laying out the facts, moving forward in constructive ways. This is a relationship that we know takes a certain amount of working on, and that's what we'll do. One of the really important things is that we be all pulling together on this. The Team Canada approach is what works. That's where, putting aside partisanship, that's where I reached out immediately to Doug Ford to agree with him that we would have a First Ministers meeting this week to talk about the United States. Talked with François Legault and some other premiers as well. There's work to do, but we know how to do it.
Okay, I got a question for you about that clip. Did Trump not mention the tariff scheme here in his phone call with Justin Trudeau? If he mentioned it, why didn't Trudeau refer to it? Like it's a shocking, stunning threat, really. It's a declaration of economic war. So why didn't Trudeau mention the elephant in the room? Or if Trump did Trump not bring it up in the call? Or if Trump did bring it up in the call, I mean, which is worse? If Trump didn't bring it up, so Trudeau didn't mention it, or if Trump did or didn't bring it up, and Trudeau didn't mention it. I wonder if the call went so poorly, if the phone call between Trudeau and Trump went so poorly, that as a reaction to that, Trump made his online demand. Isn't that astonishing? I don't know if you saw it the other day, but Stephen Harper made some comments at a private fundraiser that were leaked. He said that his fundamental criticism of Justin Trudeau after 9 years was how unserious it was. Unserious at economics, unserious at foreign policy, just all about show and press release and appearances and trading friendship bracelets at girls' concerts. Unserious. And I think he's exactly right, and we're in serious times.
Literally everything I said would happen in 2015 has now come to pass.
Let me compare that with Pierre Poilievre's serious presentation today. Here's Pierre. I'm going to let this run for a bit because he says a lot of things, and it's very interesting to watch Pierre Poilievre accept Trump's observation that we have big problems with our border and with drugs, but accept it in a way that asserts Canada's rights and puts a Canada first spin, not rolling over for Trump because Trump says so, but doing some of these things because it's in the interests of Canadians. Take a look at Pierre Poilievre.
The United States is the greatest economic and military superpower in the history of the world, and they are our neighbor. The U.S. is responsible for $1.2 trillion of our trade. We trade almost twice as much with the Americans as we trade with the rest of the world combined. I want to stop drug overdoses so that there's not one more mother with her face buried in a pillow, sobbing that she just lost her kid, after 47,000 other Canadians have died. That's more than we lost in the Second World War. A 200% annual increase in drug overdose deaths have resulted from Justin Trudeau's radical liberalization of drugs. Justin Trudeau must put partisanship aside, not just for the sake of Team Canada, but for the sake of our people, and fully reverse his liberalization of drugs. Ban them, prosecute those who traffic in them, secure our borders against the illegal importation of fentanyl ingredients, put people in treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free. That is necessary now more than ever. Look, President Trump has the right to put his workers and his nation's security first. I will put Canada's workers and Canada's security first. We need a Prime Minister with the strength and the smarts, the brains and the backbone to stand up for this country, to rebuild our security, our military, and our economy. That is what I will do.
Pierre Poilievre is younger than Justin Trudeau, but doesn't he come across as older? I mean, he looks a little bit younger, but he sounds so much more sober and serious, and I think we are in serious times. You know, I know a little bit about Justin Trudeau. I haven't met him in years. You might recall that I actually emceed a boxing match between Trudeau and a Conservative senator at the time named Patrick Brazeau. Do you remember that? Let me play for you a very quick clip. I'm going to look so much younger here. I was wearing a tuxedo. I was, along with Brian Lilly, I was the announcer at a box. I just want to show you a reminder of that, because that was actually, I think, the last time I had a chit-chat with Justin Trudeau. Take a look.
You're not the shiny pony, you're the stallion!
From you, Ezra, that means a lot.
What do you say?
It really eats you up inside, doesn't it?
What? It's for a good cause. You proved me wrong. A lot of doubters. Is Bob Ray next?
You always gotta go there, don't you?
Listen, good for you. And he's going to get a haircut. Your beautiful hair will remain.
Won't you be happy about that, Ezra?
Justin Trudeau, congratulations on a fight well fought.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Trudeau since then, and I really don't have a lot of inside information about him, although I do know some people who are 1 degree or 2 degrees of separation from him. But I think from outside observation, you would agree with me that Trudeau is full of pride. He can never admit that he's wrong. When he apologizes, it's one of those reverse apologies, like an ironic apology, like, I'm sorry you feel that way. She experienced the sexual assault differently. I apologize on behalf of past Canadian government. Like, he never apologizes for himself. He never admits anything wrong, and he has a vengeance about him, doesn't he? I think that's his chief emotional characteristic, is his pride and his narcissism. So here's what we're going to face. Will Justin Trudeau bend the knee to Donald Trump? And I don't mean grovel, and I don't mean humiliate himself. I think it's possible to work with Trump in a way that doesn't require surrender. I think Pierre Poilievre showed a little bit of that way. I mean, let me give you the example I mentioned before. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK under the Labour Party, is anti-Trump, and his Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, is extremely anti-Trump. Here's David Lammy a few years ago on LBC Radio, just calling Trump every name in the book, including a misogynist Nazi. Take a look at David Lammy.
Donald Trump has been tearing up all of the accords that we maintained on climate change. If you care about climate change, you care about the future of this world, then you must stand against Donald Trump. This is a man that is someone who thinks it's okay to describe women in the most horrendous of ways, their body parts, to speak about them in a misogynistic and deeply offensive fashion. This is the Donald Trump that we are rolling out the red carpet for. And you know, we don't always give a state visit to American presidents. That was afforded to George W. Bush. It was afforded to the great John Kennedy. It was afforded to Barack Obama. But we don't do it for all presidents. Lyndon Johnson, Ford, Carter did not get one. So why? Why is Theresa May putting Donald Trump in this position, this pivotal position, having him alongside the Queen and all the great dignitaries across the country and in the Corporation of London, sitting alongside him and lauding him for this shameful behaviour on an international stage? We stand with the American people, but we absolutely say that our democratic values are opposed to the misogyny, opposed to the racism, opposed to Steve Bannon and the horrible white supremacy that he seems to stand for. Absolutely want to defend the planet, as our great David Attenborough has said. And for all of those reasons, the Speaker is right. You cannot address Parliament at your state visit. Jeremy Corbyn, Vince Cable, Caroline Lucas are right for saying we're having nothing to do with this state banquet.
Yeah, so that's a pretty rough choice for foreign secretary, but they met with Trump, they had dinner with Trump, and here's David Lammy afterwards, not repudiating himself, not humiliating himself, but basically saying, I could really work with Trump, he's actually really nice in person, like being diplomatic and putting the country ahead of his own ego. I don't like David Lammy at all. And I think what he said about Trump was outrageous, but listen to him talk about how he gets along with Trump now.
So April 2019, you said, deluded, dishonest, xenophobic, narcissistic, Donald Trump is no friend of Britain. Have you changed your mind, or is that still your view?
Here, Chris, I'm sitting here as Foreign Secretary. I've had a meal with Donald Trump. I've met Donald Trump.
Did you talk about this stuff? Did you apologise? Did he bring it up?
Not even vaguely. I've got to say, I found him to be a very gracious host.
Did he offer you a second portion of chicken or something here?
He did offer me a second portion of chicken. He was very generous, very gracious, very keen to make sure that we felt relaxed and comfortable in his surroundings. He was funny. He was warm about the UK, very warm about the royal family, I've got to tell you.
Now, you know that David Lammy hates Trump. He has said so, and so does Keir Starmer. But they know that the US-UK relationship is so important that they're going to not necessarily grovel, but swallow their pride and just move on with being grown-ups. And I think you're going to see them really emphasize that, because the UK cannot afford to be offside with the United States. But if that goes for the UK, it goes twice as much for Canada. We are much more integrated with the US economy. We are completely reliant on the US military. There are so many ways we're inextricably linked to the US. So here's the question. Will Justin Trudeau continue his performative outbursts against Trump? Will he allow his staff to continue to disparage Trump? Or will he be a bit of a grown-up and work with Trump to fix the border, to stop the mass migration across the border, and stop the fentanyl trade, much of which comes through from China? Trump does not want these tariffs. Of course not. It would be absurd. It would devastate Canada and harm America. Trump wants the tariff threat to get Trudeau cracking so that on January 20th, the border is pretty much in hand already. It's brilliant from Trump's point of view. We will see if Trudeau can defy Stephen Harper's criticism and be a serious man. The Taylor Swift Justin Trudeau will use word salad and talk around the issue. Here's Melanie Joly being utterly incomprehensible closer to the election when she says, we're going to have some difficult conversations. Trump's not looking for a conversation, is he? He's looking for a fix of the border. Here's Melanie Joly in the word salad.
First and foremost, we've been following the race. We knew it was a tight race, and we had a plan for both a Harris win, a Trump win. And so now we're going to make sure that we connect first and develop and nurture the relationship we already had. So that's our goal.
But Minister, these tariffs, I mean, these are estimated to knock at least half a point off of the country's GDP. That's enough to put the economy into recession. So do you have any clarity on whether or not Canada is exempted from this, or whether it's going to have to deal with this and maybe retaliate with tariffs of its own?
David, I don't want to speculate. We've just been, the results were given at 4 o'clock this morning. The president was talking to the press and to his supporters. So we're around 12 hours after just basically that historic speech. It's an historic election. We know that at least 35 states have as their #1 market to export Canada. We know also that there are many jobs on both sides of the border that depend on our two countries. And so we'll be ready, and we are ready.
Right. But this is a promise that's been around for a while in this campaign. So it sounds like you don't have the clarity yet. You're still waiting to find out whether or not Canada is exempted. Is that a clear assessment of where things are right now?
I don't think anybody watching us will think that, of course, the decisions have been taken over the past 12 hours. There's no Secretary of Treasury, there's no Secretary of State. You know, let's all make sure that we breathe and we can address what we'll be working on as a country.
If there's more word salad BS like that, if Trudeau and Jolie and Chrystia Freeland can't actually solve a problem, and I don't know if they can, tell me a problem they've actually solved. Not talked about, but have actually solved. What's something that Justin Trudeau has actually accomplished? I can only name one thing, and that is the mass legalization and decriminalization of drugs. That's really their big achievement. Everything else in that has been a mess. Can they actually fix the borders? I sort of doubt it. Will they even try, or will they stay in their defiant mode towards Trump? We'll find out soon enough, won't we? Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. Members get instant access to all of our shows, invitations to exclusive events, and access to our premium content like live event footage and documentaries you won't see anywhere else. Only Rebel News Plus members can join the conversation by participating in the comments section of our new website. That way you can have your say too. More than anything, though, you'll be able to take pride in supporting real, honest journalism, and you'll help our talented team continue to do the work to push back on the establishment. We really can use your help. We need it, in fact. So thank you, and enjoy Rebel News Plus.